Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is My Abundance Community. It's our call on February 18th of 2020. It's our monthly community call.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Melanie Dunlap.
And I'm Paula Hanisch, coach and educator.
And we are so glad to have you join us here with
My Abundance Community.
Can you tell we're working on that?
Yeah, we're working on saying it together. Because we know that's going to change everything, us saying it together.
Exactly,
it's
right.
going to change everything.
Just so you know, heads up, we are in a very goofy mood tonight.
Yeah.
So there's no telling what's going to come out of this.
But we're focused. And we're not going to waste your time. We are focused. Because I
are.
hate it when you go into a video and they spend all this time. We're not going to do that to you.
No.
We're in a happy space, which is how you want to come on to a video and how you want to be with people. So we're focusing our energy, but you got to see us having some fun before.
Yes. And so what we'd like to ask you to do, and what we're going to do here with you, is just take a deep breath, a nice deep breath, and bring yourself here. You are participating in this call, watching the recording, and your energy is mingling with what we're doing here in this video.
Yes.
And so we want to be able to connect with you on that level.
Yes.
And get all of us in that space of really allowing for the abundance to come in.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we need space for that.
We're setting our intention, and intention is really important because everything in the universe is energy, and energy has vibration. So when we set our intention in whatever we do, we're actually literally directing the energy towards what we want. Okay. And in this case, we're directing our energy for an outcome of being able to receive from the universe whatever we need to see, feel, or experience tonight or today with this video to be able to move forward and allow abundance in all of its forms into our life.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Mel.
So when we have people on the call live, we go through and we actually ask everyone to tell us what their abundance number is. And if you haven't watched the videos before, that's new to you. What that means is how abundant do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10?
Okay.
So if you're watching this video, I'm going to ask you right now to think about that and think about what your number is.
Right.
And if you're watching this later, and go down below and put it in the comments if you want to let us know what your number is when you're doing this. And if for some reason your number is a little lower than you'd like for it to be, hopefully by the time we get done, your abundance number will feel a little bit higher. So Paula, what is your abundance number tonight?
I actually think it's more like an 8 because I felt a little bit kind of off on a few things today. And so getting myself back into kind of the energetic space that I like to be in and feeling, I would say probably an 8. And that's good. That's good. Marie? All right, Miss Marie. Here she comes. Woohoo!
There we go.
There's
Hi,
our
Marie.
girl. There she is.
Well, your timing is perfect.
Yeah.
So we just got started. Hello there. Look at the beautiful art behind her.
That's Marie's artwork. It's phenomenal.
Look, and she's even sitting so she's wearing it like a crown. I love that.
Do you hear us, Marie?
Check your down at the bottom on the left. Make sure you're.
Yeah, my computer's just being stupid. Okay.
Oh, we can hear you now.
I can hear you.
Good.
Am I the only one?
Huh?
Am I the only one?
You are the only one so far.
Susan, I know Susan was going to join too, so because I sent her the link. So
great.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Hi guys.
Hi.
I started 15 minutes ago with this computer, and
God bless.
But anyway, here we are.
Well, Mercury retrograde and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So we were just starting to share our abundance number. And what that means is on a scale of 1 to 10, how abundant do you feel right now? So will you share your number with us?
Yeah, I'd say 7.
Okay. And Paula just shared that she was an 8.
I'm an 8 today.
I'm an 8.
Yay.
How
about you?
Huh?
How about you?
I would say probably an 8.5. Like Paula shared earlier, she said some things were a little different for her today, a little out of balance.
Yeah.
I
Not
was
bad,
that
just
way
a little.
yesterday.
Mm.
Yesterday was really tough. But I got some things accomplished today, and doesn't that always make you feel
Yay.
abundant? I know it does
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
Done,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
has that same abundant feeling. It's like, yay, I got something done.
Yeah, definitely.
So
You want to do breathing?
yes.
Let's do
So we're gonna do some breathing just to get ourselves centered and just to bring yourself into this space. So you can close your eyes if you want to, and just take a big breath in. And then exhale, and exhale completely. We really want to let all of that breath out. And then take another deep breath in and exhale fully. There we go.
That's good.
And that just brings us into
Mhm.
that energetic space.
Yeah, I love that.
So we're glad that you're here, either in person or watching the recording, because today we want to talk a little bit about self-love.
Self-love, because it's love month.
It is love
February.
month. And you know, we Paul and I got together and we were talking about it, and we're like, okay, you know, what does that mean in the terms of abundance?
Yeah.
And so the first thing that I want to talk about is the difference between self-care and self-love.
Don't you love that?
Yeah.
When we were talking about it, I loved it when Melanie said that. Self-care versus self-love. So I have to, she asked me, what did I think of? And my first thing I thought of because we started with self-care, didn't we originally?
I think so, yeah.
And she said, what do you think about with that? And I said, I think it's a waste. And she goes, what? And I said, because I think my mind immediately goes to pampering and a spa and massage and this and that, which I know is good for you, but it's not high on my list when I have other things to take care of. So then Dr. Melanie says, okay, big difference between self-love and self-care. And that she really educated me on that. So I'm excited for you to hear this, because
Yes,
this was very good and it actually changed my perception.
So, you know, what Paula said there, I think is very great, because that is what we equate. If we say self-love, we think of, I'm going to go to the spa, or what I'm going to do for myself, or, you know, I need to manage my stress, and all of those sorts of things. And those are actually a way of expressing self-love, but they're not what self-love really is.
Yeah.
So that's self-care. A lot of that stuff is necessary, right?
Yeah,
That's
right.
maintenance. We got to keep the machine running. We got to keep the body running. So that self-care is important.
Yeah.
Don't make it last.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I did learn that too by talking with her. Oh, so I am supposed to make some of that a priority. I get it.
Yes, you are. But when we talk about self-love, it really comes down to loving ourself.
Yeah, it's true.
And so then that brings us to, what is the self? You know, what is that? And what is that core? Right? You know, that whole thing of, who are you when nobody's looking?
Yeah.
Right?
I'm Batman. When nobody's looking, I'm Batman.
I knew that.
Yeah. Just being transparent, people. Just got my cape at home all hidden.
But so that self-love piece requires us to go inside and see who our self is. And I know for me, one of the challenges with that is there is this voice in my head that doesn't always like me. You know, sometimes it's a little bit hard on me.
That can happen.
It does.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah,
and so I can get caught right there. right? I go in, there's that voice, and that voice is telling me things that are not in my best interest. But here's the thing about self. Yourself is actually the part of you that is listening to that criticism or that support. Right? Because if you think about it, you're listening to the voice in your head.
Yeah.
You are listening to the voice in your head.
Okay.
So you are one layer back. You are not what you're thinking. You're not what you're thinking about yourself. Right? And so when we step back from that, so sometimes, for me at least, that voice can take over. Right? And especially when it's the negative ego voice, because boy, that thing is loud.
Yeah, it can be.
Right?
Yeah.
The negative ego can be very, very loud.
Yeah.
And with it comes all of the stuff, the tapes that play automatically, right?
Yeah.
Certain thing happened, and this is the tape that plays in my head. But again, I am seeing that. I'm hearing that. That's a separate entity. That entity, because we can talk ourselves out of stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? I do that all the time when I go shopping, especially for clothes, right? I go around and I pick up clothes, I put them in my basket, and by the time I get to the door, I've bought nothing. I talk to myself out of it.
Online shopping, it's better for us.
No, I want to touch it. But it's that kind of thing, right? We can talk ourselves in or out of things.
Yeah.
And that's really what happens to the ego, right? We get all excited, oh, I'm going to go do this. And then the ego is trying at things to keep you safe. And it'll say, no, you're going to get hurt. Something's going to happen. Someone's not going to like that. Or the old dreaded, hey, let's pull up all the stuff out of your childhood and beat you up with that.
That feels good.
Right?
That always feels
It
good.
does.
That's a winner self thing. Yeah.
But the self is watching that. It's separate. Those negative ego thoughts, those things that we say to ourselves that are not the most pleasant, even the things that we say to ourselves that are pleasant, we are observing that. And that's our bigger soul, right? And that's where we are all connected.
Okay.
Is at that deeper level.
Oh, that's good.
Right? That's the whole thing we talk
Real
about
good.
energy. That's where energy is. It's at that level. Now I can learn to work with it, manage it, right? That's exactly what we're talking about with abundance. We're managing our energy to allow that in.
Yeah.
That's where that happens, right? Because think about it. Try to tell yourself abundant when your pocketbook is empty, right?
Yeah.
You look in the bank account, there's nothing in there. It's really hard to tell yourself that you are abundant.
Yeah.
But you are, right? We're not our
Yeah.
bank account.
Yeah.
We are not our bank account. And when that deeper soul piece of us recognizes that, we're all of a sudden, we're like, oh yeah, right? When I say that to you and you're in a good space, you're like, oh yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
You get that on that deeper level.
Yeah.
Right? And so that is the place where we want to do the self-love. Now here's the secret to that.
Do we want to recap for Susan for a minute?
Hi, Susan.
Hey, hi.
Welcome.
You guys, I don't think I'm on the email list.
What?
I don't think I am. I've searched everywhere, unless they're all going into spam.
Okay, check spam, but we will
We
also...
can figure it out later. We don't even have to talk about that now, but
Okay, check...
I ended up typing in, Marie sent me a text with with like a screenshot. And so I actually typed in
Okay.
the Zoom address, and that's how I got here.
Okay.
So we'll check it. We'll definitely
Yeah.
check it.
Yeah,
But check your
just
spam
make sure I'm on.
there. Perfect.
And it's also, I did put it on the Facebook group as well.
As long as we're talking about that, in the email, it wasn't a live link. It had the number, but it wasn't a click on it to get.
Oh, it wasn't a live. Okay.
Facebook was live. The Facebook link that Melanie, you put on was live, but the email didn't have a live link.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm
Just so you know.
sorry. I didn't see that on Facebook, and Marie's the reason I'm here.
No, that's great. That's great. No, we'll check our end for sure.
And thanks for letting us know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did try to get it out there a couple times, but you know, Facebook can be temperamental.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't
we'll
get
make sure you're on the list. We got you,
Yes,
girl.
yes.
We got your back.
Yay.
So we were talking, just a little recap, we were talking about self-love, right? It's February, so we're talking about self-love, and what we're talking about is getting to that deeper layer of self. So behind the ego, behind the thoughts, behind all of that is getting to the real self. Because that's actually where we're going to be able to allow abundance in, and truly, truly be able to allow abundance in. And I know, you know, that's where you do a lot of your work,
Yes. it
is in that
Yeah.
that bigger self.
Yeah.
And that, and
Yeah.
I'm just guessing, but that's where you tap in
Yes.
order to get your information and your connection and that
Yes.
stuff.
That's where I get my connection.
Yeah.
That's why we're such a good fit. Melanie has, you know, the outer and the energy with all of that. And mine's been all about the inner, and then just the intuitive part, being able to pick up on a person's energy or where they're at, and intuitive insights and things. And yes, that's the layer that it is for me, beyond ego, beyond self, and to that part of us that's much more connected.
Right.
And so that's the space that is good for us to live in when we're talking about abundance, because that's the space of when we have that connection with spirit, right? Remember, we're body, mind, and spirit. So when we have that connection with spirit, then what happens is we're in that connectedness space. We're out of ego, we're out of self, and spirit's all about our well-being. So if we are out of self-love, like I've had times where, in hearing Mel talk about self-care and self-love and explaining the difference to me, it's really helped me at times when spirit will tell me, okay, you need to stop for a while and rest. And sometimes I'll feel frustrated because I'm not getting stuff done. In spirit, I will feel that intuitive part say, you need to let that go today. Or I've had it say, you need to call Marie for more peanut butter cookies. But that's helped me in a pinch. But yes, it's that layer that you're talking about that is the connected piece that does lead me to self-love, even though I wasn't aware of it the way you were sharing it. And I love it. But that connectedness with spirit, that ties me into the abundance of self-love, because we can only give away in love according to the love in us. So when we're talking about abundance, that is a big key. And that's why we wanted to talk about love this month, because we do have to learn to love ourselves. We actually can't love somebody more than us. It's like we have to have our tank full to be able to use it, like a car has to have gas to be able to drive. So our tank has to be full of self-love for me to genuinely give from the soul to you. So learning to fill that up, learning to listen to our divine guidance and the nudges we get is all part of self-love and abundance.
Yes.
Self-love is allowing abundance.
Yes. And so when we talk about things that might be blocking our abundance, right? Because, you know, let's face it, sometimes it feels like that's happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can feel like it is the people or the situations or that we find ourselves in, and especially when we're dealing with other people. We've all had people in our lives that are difficult to deal with, or that have caused us pain, even in some cases. The way that we, again, we're only talking about working on ourselves, ourself and our self-love, but when we can recognize that those people that we have those struggles with and that are causing us that discomfort in our life, when we can recognize that they also have that self, right? When I can recognize that in the person that is causing me discomfort or pain, that's where forgiveness begins, right? It's hard to think yourself into forgiveness.
Yeah.
Right? That has to come from somewhere else. And that actually can be helped along by recognizing that this person has that other piece behind them.
Yeah.
You know, The front that they're showing is not very nice, and it might in fact even be quite ugly, but that same person is behind them. And so, we're always, and Paul and I do seem to find ourselves coming back to this all the time, of letting go of things in order to have that space for abundance.
Yeah.
Right. And those are some of those things that actually get in there and kind of get stuck. And it's hard to have the space for that. Right. Because it's back in there and it's just kind of seething. But when we can get back, so the next time you hear yourself talking to yourself, whether it's about you or it's about someone else, take a moment and think about, I'm hearing that. So that's not me. And especially when you're not saying the good things, right? Whether you're thinking about you or even you're thinking about someone else, okay, wait a minute, that's not me. And that self that is in that self-love place can be nothing but love.
Yeah.
There's nothing else there.
Yeah, it's good.
Right?
Yeah.
When we get far enough away from those layers of ourself, we are in nothing but pure love. And that's all that can be in that space. So it's actually it's a simple exercise if you remember to do it, right? And especially on those days like my yesterday, and I'll be honest, the day before, it was really, really hard for me to get in that space. I was just really hard on myself, and everything I did was hard. Everything I did was hard. Just something really simple on the computer, right? You're just going to go and look and check on Facebook, and it gets tied in knots. The internet's slow. The computer's down. It's just one thing after another.
Right.
And I keep running into that because I haven't left any space for abundance.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't left that space for help. I haven't visited that place where I can always get what I need.
Yeah.
It's always there.
Yeah.
Right? But we have to kind of teach ourselves to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have to even have that awareness.
Yeah.
And we have to have that awareness that there's another piece to us.
Yeah. And I just feel inspired to ask Susan, what are you getting out of what we're just sharing right there? I just feel inspired to ask. I'm not hearing you. Are you saying?
She's muted. Hold on.
Hold on.
I was in mute.
There we go. Oh, sorry, girl.
I really believe there was a time when I didn't love myself.
Okay.
And in fact, I pretty much loathed myself, and I always had that critic in my head that was, just go ahead and just kill yourself, get it over with, because you're worthless. That's how bad it was. And I do think I heard what you said, Dr. Melanie, about self-care isn't the same as self-love, but it was a bridge for me. Even before I really started to love myself, I started to take care of myself.
Beautiful.
If that makes sense. And so self-care,
Yes.
It's the
helped
first step.
me. Yes, for me, it worked. It worked perfectly, and it took, pretty few years, but and some therapy. But
Great. Yay.
Therapy is self-care.
Yeah, that's self.
But I feel, like I can say that I do love myself now, and I have to always be really careful about the critic voice in my head. I have to be really, really careful with that, and I have to be very sure that I take good care of myself. Just what I have to do.
Excellent.
And that is true. And that is why, and that's kind of where we start, that is why self-care is so important.
Yeah.
Because it is the first step.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about how we can get the response that we want from our body from a couple different ways, right? We can think ourselves to it. We can actually do it, right? So when we start to do the self-care, even something as simple as a massage, we tend to put massages in the category of luxury. But having been in natural health for so many years, I can tell you from honest experience that it's actually maintenance, right? We really do need it. We do better when we have it. Just like your car, you do better when you change the oil and do the maintenance that needs to be done. But because there is a piece of our brain when we get a massage that goes to that luxury piece, right?
Mhm.
Which actually, if you think about it, is relaxation,
Oh, that's good.
right?
Yeah.
Luxury, we think of relaxing into something, right?
Right.
There's that luxury feeling of energy. So when we do that for ourselves, there's a piece of our brain that says, oh wow, look at this. This is really great. This is us taking care of ourselves. I am worthy.
Yeah. That's
Right?
good.
So
Yeah.
that's when we need to allow ourselves to accept that I am worthy.
Yeah. And that's the piece. I think you really talked about something right there. It all goes back to allowing. Abundance is all about, remember we said abundance is an energy. We don't create it, it's an energy, and it's about allowing it in our life. So as you're talking about self-love, and self-care is a first step towards for self-love, it is when we do have the desire to get a massage, like you're
Mhm.
saying that it's maintenance, or even if it's just whatever it is, can be the smallest thing, relaxing. It is allowing that in our life. That's allowing the abundance. When I say yes to that, I am now allowing the energy of abundance in. And when I allow the energy of abundance in, then that's going to leave me enlivened, or I'll feel life from that.
Yes.
So you can relax and then you get up and you're ready, right?
Mhm.
Or you get your massage and you come away and you just have to kind of be in that space and allow the shifts that just happened. Or you can go to lunch with a good friend, right?
Mhm.
And there's this energy of abundance that happens and you walk away and you feel so good. All of those things are allowing abundance, and it's self-care. Like you said, I love the way you said that. Self-care is the step to self-love.
Yes.
So yes, I just want to say, yes, that's allowing abundance in that form. And the thing is, when we stop and when we give ourselves self-love, we are now allowing ourselves to hear and be able to lay hold of the solutions that have always been around us, but we couldn't hear them, we couldn't receive them because we were shut down on our self-care.
Mhm.
Does that make sense, you
Yes.
guys?
Mhm.
Yeah. So how about we ask Marie about hers for self-love?
Go ahead.
Marie, how about for you? What is this speaking to you for your life today?
Well, I have a question. Like you said, I totally agree with what you said in the beginning, that when you talk about self-love, everybody immediately goes to take a bubble bath, take a nap, the self, and I realize those are self-care. So how would you differentiate activities that are actually self-love, or is it all just an inside job emotionally and it's not, you know what I'm saying?
What I think of for that is it becomes more self-love when you have the awareness.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, that's a good piece. I love the way I could feel it. So you putting that into words.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's having
Yeah.
that awareness. That's the extra piece,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I was saying earlier about you recognizing it.
Yeah.
That bigger you is recognizing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. That's good. Thank you.
I love that. That's so true. That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So awareness is what we're really trying for.
Yeah.
And when because what we're even talking about is having that awareness that we're still behind that.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, we can get the body to do what we want it to do.
Yeah.
We can actually get that to lead our emotions.
Mhm.
Right. So for me, when I get the opportunity to meet with a friend,
Mhm.
spend time with a friend or something like that,
Mhm.
that to me is self-care.
Yeah, I love that.
Right. I look at that as part of my self-care. That is
Mhm.
necessary for me.
Yeah.
It's necessary for me to grow. It's necessary for me to evolve. It's necessary for me to feel that energy and that emotion.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you start looking at different things and repurposing even, right?
Yeah.
That coffee is not just catching up. That's part of my self-care.
Yeah.
I know Paula, her fingernails, right?
Oh yes, my
That's
beautiful
self-care,
fingernails.
right? She does have a pretty little heart today, I
I
have
have a
to
little
say.
heart. Let's see. You see my pretty heart?
I don't know if it'll focus on it.
That's a heart.
She's wearing her heart on her finger. I'm just saying. Uh, that for her, because we've had
Yeah, we've talked
conversations
about that. Yeah.
that is self-care.
Yeah, that's not just getting my nails done for me.
Yes.
It's like, should the whole world crumble, I'm keeping my Friday at 11 a.m. appointment kind of deal. Because that's me. My nails make me stand up inside. I have very large hands. I always have very
Aw.
large hands. And so for me, I've always been super conscious. But when I started to get nails on them, right, I just felt
it
better.
lengthens them.
It does. It lengthens
Mhm.
them, and I just feel more me. So yeah, so it's like, and I've gone with them and without them, but exactly, we've talked about it. And for me, it is a self-care and a step towards self-love, saying
Yes.
you're worth this no matter what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, you're worth this. And it makes you anything that makes you truly stand up inside, that I will invest in.
Yeah. And see, I think of working in my garden as self-care. For me, anytime I'm out with the plants, I'm playing with the plants, doing any of that kind of stuff, that is self-care.
And for me, eating the things that Melanie pulls from her garden, that's my
That's
step of self-care. And it leads to self-love for me. I'm just saying.
Well, good nutrition does, right? When the
Yeah.
body feels good, we feel better about ourselves.
But that's true. Seriously.
It is so
It
true because we're not separate from that. We are,
Mhm.
our bodies are all connected.
Yeah.
And so what that becomes is, what is it you do that really makes you feel good, right? It makes you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
It makes you happy. I just go to Home Depot and touch the plants as I go by, and I'm grinning like a silly girl.
Yeah.
Um,
But when you slip it in your purse, you're not. They really don't want you doing that anymore, Dr.
I'm going to have to take that out of the video. No. So having those first steps towards creating that space of
Yeah.
self-love,
Right.
and even the point of recognizing that it's something we should do,
Yes.
right? Because we
Yeah.
do tend to get we at least are having a conversation now about self-care, because I have to admit, most of the women I talk to, we have a lot of thoughts about it, and we don't do it as often as we'd like, right?
I love the way you talked about it, though, when you said self-care versus self-love, and we had the conversation even about doing it as the video tonight up for February. I just learned so much. I really was like the self-care versus self-love and the steps towards it. I love the message. And for me, I'm like all on fire about it, because it really is, if we're not loving ourselves and allowing abundance in that way through eating well,
Mhm.
through getting our nails done, if that's important to us,
Hanging out with our girlfriends.
hanging out with our girlfriends. And I want to add this here too, because this, when you were talking, really went through my mind. You also have the right, okay, as a step of self-care, to surround yourself with people that are loving and supportive versus toxic, and maybe it's uncomfortable to not hang with them. You have the right to have high vibe supportive people in your life, and that is self-care and self-love.
I would almost take that up to a responsibility,
Yeah. Why?
because you need to be guarding your own environment, but you also need to be showing those that are looking to you
Yeah.
on how we want to show up.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Do you guys understand what she means by that? Because that's like really good. I love that.
You want to explain it further? I think I do, but if you want to expand on it, that'd be
Great.
great.
Well, let's do that for a minute.
When we take the time to mind our relationships, get our toxic relationships, even our toxic things, the foods that might be toxic for us, the cleaners, the other things that are in our environmental toxins. When we get those out, when we make ourselves enough of a priority to get those toxic things out of our environment, we are showing other people the way, essentially, is what it comes down
that's
to,
very
right?
good.
We're modeling that for the people
Modeling.
that are important in our lives.
I love that.
Right. And for some people it's their children or their grandchildren, in some cases, maybe it's spouses.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's other family members. I have some family members that I would love to be able to help in a much deeper way.
Mhm.
And quite honestly, in a more monetary way.
Mhm.
But I can't do that. But I can show them how it looks to have self-love,
Yeah, that's good.
right?
That is good.
To value myself,
Yeah.
because that's what I want for them.
Yeah.
I want them to value themselves. But to be honest, there was a time I didn't know what that looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a discovery. It's an always evolving.
Yes.
And the thing is, and I want to add to that, when we step into that space, like you're saying, of actually taking that responsibility of surrounding ourselves with very high vibe, good relationships, when we look at it from a family generational perspective, we are actually breaking cycles,
Mhm.
because maybe those before us, they didn't know how or what. And maybe we're doing better than they did, but there's maybe still this cycle of toxicity.
Mhm.
But by changing this and taking this message and letting it live in us, we're actually breaking that in our own family generational cycles. And now we are being a model of self-care, which leads to self-love.
Mhm.
Because, our kids and grandkids, especially as we get older, okay, as we get older, we did the best with our kids, right, as they're growing up, but now they're older, they can see us shifting into a different space.
Mhm.
Mom wasn't always that way, but now she's calm, and now she rests, and now she's this and that. Or, Auntie Mel, or, we're doing that for the beloveds around us, and they see it. And now we're silently giving them permission to do the same.
Because remember, we're all connected on that self-love level.
Yeah.
Right. And I know some of the people that are in this group, we work in energy and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And we've taken classes and we've taken training and different things in energy. And so when you start talking about energy, you'll hear people saying, well, we're on this plane, right? There's where this energy is. And I think everybody here in this group will agree that they can recognize that energy is its own thing.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So energy has its own thing, but we're all on that wavelength, and that's how we're actually able to do the energy healings and things.
Yeah.
Is because we're all in that same space, right? We're all together.
Yeah.
We're all a part of that.
Yeah.
So my thinking is, the more of us that are over in that self-love space thinking about abundance, the more of it we're going to create.
Right. And the more we're in the self space, allowing self-love, listening to the nudges, whether to stop and rest or to go spend time with a friend, or just take a nice bath, right? Or something, whatever. It can be small, it can be bigger, but the more we're listening and acting on it, now I'm allowing the energy of abundance in my life. And what goes to us can now go through us.
So I want to give you a little self-care tip.
Okay.
So this is something that really will go literally all the way to your soul. And it's going to sound funny, but when you think about it, you're going to remember.
Great.
One of the best things you can do for yourself is to put on lotion.
What?
I do that.
Right?
I do.
So
I
being
love that.
present when you're doing it.
Okay.
Right?
I love that.
This is your body, right? And you're touching it, you're feeling it, this is the container that's carrying you around. We want to love that.
I love that.
But when we're putting on lotion, obviously we're helping our skin, right? Because we want our skin to feel better. Those of us that live in the desert, we know how drying it can be here as well. But putting on lotion, so we're doing that for a physical reason. It makes our skin better, makes us age better, feeds our skin.
Yeah.
But there's another thing that happens right below that, right? So when we're rubbing lotion on us, we are also soothing our nervous system.
Oh, I love that.
Right? So we're rubbing, think about it when, if somebody's upset, oftentimes they'll just rub on them. When babies, when you're trying to soothe a baby, right? You rock them a little bit, you pat them, you rub them, right? And so when you're doing that, you're actually calming the nervous system.
I didn't know that. I actually love that. This is why I would love to work with Dr. Mel right here. I love it because I'm the one going, that is so cool.
So we're feeding our skin. We are soothing our nervous system. Now think about this. If you actually then go and recognize what a piece of self-care and also self-love that is.
Yeah, I love that.
So now we're bringing in all of these systems to reinforce that to ourselves. Right? So the whole body is in on the package.
So is that our thing to focus on this week?
Sure.
for the next 7 days when you put lotion on, and when you do, be present to it.
Yes.
Do you recommend a certain kind of lotion, like with, essential oils or lavender, or I don't know?
You know, um, so I, I'll tell you my secret. I make my own, and it's freaking awesome.
That's great.
And I do love it.
That's great.
I don't market it because some of you know that I make products and all that kind of stuff. I don't market it because it literally has a shelf life. So to answer your question directly, some of that depends on your skin.
Mm.
We've all got different needs for our skin. So that is going to change. One of the things that I will say is I want it to be a good quality, organic if possible. I recommend unscented.
I can see why.
And if you're going, so this is what I say: get yourself a good unscented lotion. And Marie, off this, I can direct you to some. Get an unscented lotion, because then you can take a little bit of it and you can scent it to something in particular you may need. So
nice.
let's say you've got a bunch of lotion, it's unscented.
Yeah.
You're feeling real stressed out and you're having trouble sleeping.
Okay.
So get a little bit of lotion, put a little bit of lavender oil in it. Now you've got yourself a lavender lotion, and it will help you to sleep a little bit.
Great.
Got it.
So that's what I like to do. The massage lotion that I use, that is actually a jojoba, and unscented. I love jojoba.
I do too.
Yes, it's at the top of the price range a little bit, but a little bit goes a long, long way.
Yeah. That's good.
And so, yeah, different ones. And also don't forget that sometimes your skin changes too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been using this one for a long, long time, and now it's not working for me. Recognize that can happen.
Okay.
And it's not
How
always,
do you know it's working for you? What would make you think it isn't working?
well, if your skin is still not looking the way you want it to,
Got it.
that's one of the things I notice about this lotion. So the lotion recipe that I have is actually comes from Rosemary Gladstar. So this recipe is 25, maybe 30 years old. And I forget, right? I run out of it. I forget how good it does. So you really want to kind of be able to see a before and after.
Good.
And also part of the reason that I don't sell this particular one is it is actually greasy, right? When I put it on, if I go and sit at my desk or something like that, right, you'll see these little places where I've set down my hand. But man, it works, right? So what I do is I put it on before bed.
Oh, smart.
I put it on right after I get out of the shower, and I put it on before I go to bed.
Oh, that's
We want the recipe, or we want you to sell us some.
Well, I actually would be happy to do that. I've got a few people now that are saying, hey, I want to try some of that. And I quite honestly had forgotten how great it was. But I do the same thing. So I don't put any essential oils in that. It does have a little bit of smell because it's got some cocoa butter in it. But so the same thing, I could take any of those and put any kind of essential oil in it I want. And I'm also, I kind of like a purist. So you may want to put your lotion on and put your essential oil on your diffuser.
Yeah. I make my own lotion.
great.
Oh, good for you.
Great.
I do. I'm wondering if it's similar to what you're talking about because it has coconut oil in it. But I don't think I do. Let me think. I think the last time I made it, I didn't use essential oils. I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
That's great.
It gives you a lot more versatility. It really
Mhm.
does.
The way that I judge a good lotion is if it makes me look 10 years younger. So if not, I know maybe I need to go to something else. But that's just me. Weigh it for yourself. Okay.
And you're right.
She's really 10 years older than she looks. I'm just saying.
Am I? Oh, I like that. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm 75 looking like this.
Good
I'm
job, Paul.
78.
Oh.
So do you have any questions around the self-love, self-care concept? Anything else? Mhm.
I'm not thinking of anything right now.
Okay.
So I think, Susan, your shirt speaks quite well to what
Yes.
we're talking about here. Her
Don't be
shirt
a
says,
Yes, don't be a Grinch.
"Don't be a Grinch."
I love it.
You can read it backwards.
Yes.
I love it.
So, Paula, you have something you want to share with us in this area.
Yes, actually, one of the things that I want to do is abundance is so much more than finances. Okay, it's so much more than that. That is a piece. That being said, one of the biggest things that you find when you talk about abundance is people always like to hear a little bit of something on finances. So what I like to do on the videos is we have different things broken down by month, but each video I'd like to give you some kind of tip or something to take that we can put at the end of the video to say, okay, we want to allow abundance in this area. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things I just kind of want to give you in light of self-love is this. I want to leave you with the thought of, first of all, knowing the state of your finances. Okay, now this might seem basic to people, but it's not always so basic in our electronic world. In the world of when we had checks and when we had to call into the bank for stuff, we were really on top of things. Now we take our card and we swish it through and we this and we that, and we go, oh, I know how much I spent. Oh, I know how much I have, right? And
So
yeah, and so it's so very easy to not really take responsibility in a way that feels good to us in our lives regarding finances, okay? So one of the tips I really want to leave you with financially to be really developing is, let's not be afraid of our finances. Let's not be afraid to look at them. Let's not be afraid to stay on top of them, because this is the deal. They are just numbers. Let's say that again. Finances, when we look at them, it is just numbers. And all it really is a guide to telling us what's going on in that area of our lives. And we really, how can we make room for abundance if we really aren't sure of where we are right now?
Oh, so true.
So if I know where I am right now and I have something come in, then I can really celebrate and appreciate it then in a different way of, well, I have a general idea, that's great. Okay. So one of the biggest things I find in working with people is, and even for myself at times, I get afraid, or we get afraid to look at what the bottom line and the actual numbers. Why? Well, that doesn't really make sense. It becomes emotionally charged. So in allowing abundance, one of the things just I want to leave you with this month is focusing on and being aware of what is going out and what is coming in. Do it in a way for yourself that feels good, okay? In a way that feels good. So think about that, and I kind of want to I want to end it. I'm going to ask you something, and then we'll kind of end it. But that is a very important piece, because once we start doing that, this is a foundation to begin to allow the abundance in. So I'm facing the fear of not looking at it, or I'm facing the fear of not knowing exact numbers, or I'm facing the fear, like I had a good friend of mine, they said, oh, my financial person wants to meet with me, but I know they're taking care of everything. I don't know why I have to. Right. And I said, and then they followed it up with, well, I don't need to be wealthy. And I said, well, that's good, because you're really setting yourself up that way.
Yeah.
So see how it can influence us. So we had a good discussion, and they're a terrific person. So, I see the shift happening, but those are the things we're unwittingly doing. And so let's bring self-love home to this. I love myself enough to step into the self-care of knowing what I have going out and knowing what I have coming in. And all it is a guide directing me to maybe things I need to shift or change for things to be in a good place, or to be in a better place.
Can I add on to that?
No, and we're done.
Because I love that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not ignoring my wealth, I will say.
Right.
But I've found myself doing that. But what I would like to add to that, because I think that is so great, is paying attention to when you're doing that checking. Okay. Because
Yeah.
I just recently was working with a client, and she said, oh, when I wake up in the morning, I turn over, I pick up my phone, I check my bank account, I check and I'm like, don't check your bank account first thing in the morning. Unless, of course, you're a millionaire, then I guess it might be a different thing. But not the way to start your day.
Well, and let's add this to it, you guys. Here's the thing with the banking now. You can have your debits and it can take, you think it's going to go the next day, but it might take a couple days. So if you're not being aware in some way of what's going in and out, then you can look at that and it can show that amount gone, allegedly, but not yet really being deducted for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
So thereby, it then messes you up. So that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
So I just want to, kind of give you guys this and see if you feel comfortable. Is what could you, Marie, Susan, what could you guys do that might shift that to bring you to a better level of that this week for you personally? Is there anything that you want to share, an idea put out there, say, oh, I think I'll shift this?
I already track everything. I have an MBA in finance, and I've been tracking everything,
Beautiful.
my ins and outs for years and years. And when people ask me, since I have a finance background, they ask me, what is the number one thing that you would tell people to do? I say, you need to track your spending. You
Beautiful.
need to look at it on an ongoing basis, and you need to know what you're spending your money on, because it can shock you to find out when
Yeah.
you start tracking it, and then you make the choices that maybe this isn't something I should want to spend my money on.
Right.
It's like just being informed, just being aware helps so much.
So you're really
So I'm validating everything you said.
good. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
But I would still like to think of something, though.
Okay, think of something.
I'll let Marie talk.
Okay, Marie will go and then we'll come back to you. Miss Marie.
It could be in the area of self-care too. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Well, I'm not as good at tracking as I should be. I go through stages where I'm really good. I
Yeah.
write everything down, and then there's other stages where it's like I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants in the rest of my life. So then I just don't pay as much attention.
And then
Or,
happens.
it's easy to go out to eat where, rather than take the time to go grocery shopping and cook the food and all that kind of stuff, which is, something that I know we go through stages, like I say, where we do that. So, yeah. And then sometimes I assume Sam's doing it, or I, allocate that responsibility to him,
Yeah.
rather than being as much a part, because right now I feel like, well, you could at least do that. But that's, I need to get more aware consistently.
So how about, does it feel good for you for this week, just having, or this month, whatever feels good for you, just having more of an awareness of that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely, it would feel
Okay.
good. Yeah.
And go in the group, you guys, and let us know how you're doing. Just say, hey, doing good with the, with whatever, you can talk in code, whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you want to go in there and get support and let us know, we'd take a look at that. We're here to support you in the shifts.
If you talk in code, please give us the key.
Yeah, do let us know.
So Susan, did you come up with something?
A lot of things are floating around in my head. I think the idea of going grocery shopping and making food myself versus going out to eat. I mean, I think I'd like to focus on that this week,
Okay.
financially and as health benefits.
And that
Yes.
the biggest thing is, does that feel good to you?
It does. It does feel good to me. It's something I haven't done.
Great.
Something that one of you said sparked that
Good.
flame that, I should probably take a look at that. Like, how much am I spending on a meal versus if I went and made it myself? And is it healthier to make it myself? You know what I mean? All that. I've never really explored that. I'd like to do that.
And, can I just share that it's really, the reason I'm asking you how you feel about it is because, it's easy for us to say, I should do this, I should do that. That's putting ourselves in that ego part of guilt. That's what we want to go back further than that and say, forget that. How
Right.
do you feel? Do you
I'm curious.
feel you're up to the shift and the change of just the awareness this week? And when
I'm up for
we
it.
say yes, then we will find our body, our mind and body moving along with the desire. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we would love to see a picture of your food.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, well, when I make food, it's stuff like enchilada lasagna. I mean, it's
Yum.
like so many calories and so much cheese. I might be one.
Marie's
There's
food.
lots of calcium there.
Yes, there is.
So Marie, are we going to see a picture of your food too, or what?
Sure.
I want to see Marie's food.
Marie, how about you send us a picture of your food at the restaurant, because we'll celebrate that just as
We
much.
will. We will. I'm having ramen.
Mindful and aware.
Yeah, we're going out to lunch tomorrow.
I'm having ramen. I already know. I
Yeah.
usually know in advance what I'm going to order.
All right.
So all that starts after tomorrow because we're going out to lunch tomorrow.
All
No,
right.
we'll take a picture and we'll post it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No, now wait a minute. It
Okay.
doesn't have to start after tomorrow. The two of you are getting together and mindfully eating.
True.
Yeah.
That is abundance and that is self-care.
Yeah, no matter what, seriously, no matter what you order,
Right.
you're in a space of being 100% present, being
Yeah.
aware, and making a mindful choice, whatever it is.
Yes.
Sure.
Mhm.
No
True.
condemnation or guilt. You're enjoying and you're mindful and you're aware. That's what we're
Mhm.
looking at.
Exactly.
Dr. Melanie, does that sound like self-care and self-love to you?
It does, Paula.
Wow.
Yay!
Because yes, mindful eating is, that is a self-care practice too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it helps with digestion and feeds into our health and all our self-love and everything.
Yeah.
Good
I
point.
think that's what I'd really like to focus on this month is, besides the financial piece, is the mindful eating because it's so, I have been feeling, like I'm just eating on the fly all the time and I don't have things prepared ahead of time in the fridge where, I can grab something easily that's nutritious and better for me than some other choice.
So can I make a suggestion then?
Sure.
So instead of saying, I need to do this or I should do this for the whole week, do it with one meal.
Okay.
And do it maybe for within the next 48 hours. I'm going to have one meal that I plan and set aside. And do it every couple days until it starts to feel easier.
Okay. That's a good
Okay.
idea. Yeah.
Well,
That's
so do you guys have anything else? Any questions? Does everybody feel complete?
I feel abundant.
Yay! What about you? Do you feel complete?
I do. This has been great.
Yes.
I'm back up
yes.
to my 10 again.
There we go.
I do,
There we
really,
go.
seriously.
So
Yeah.
thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you both so much.
Yeah.
Second Tuesday of every month. This is where we'll be.
Just one first Tuesday, is that what you said? Or next
Second
Tuesday?
Tuesday of every month. The second Tuesday.
Second Tuesday, got it. Okay.
Today.
Yeah.
Good. I did not know that. So
Yeah.
I have it in my brain now.
And then we use a Facebook group to support you in between if something comes up or you want to share, okay?
It's the third Tuesday.
Ooh. The
Third
third Tuesday of every month.
Rewind. It's
Rewind.
the
Okay.
Tuesday.
Okay, we got it.
Like today's the 18th. It's got to be a little bit longer than that. No, it's the third.
Third
And
Tuesday.
we're going to try to, those should be in all of the emails. Susan will check and see, if you've got, to make sure what's going on with your email.
It really seems like I haven't, maybe they are going to my spam or something because it seems like I haven't seen one in a long time.
Okay, you
Okay.
check that. We'll check ours, and then
Okay,
we'll text and reach out to make sure you've got
We'll
it.
just, okay.
All right, everybody, have a
Mwah,
wonderfully
we love you
abundant
guys.
week.
Thank you
Mwah.
guys.
Love
Bye.
you.
Love
Thank
you. Bye.
Bye.